More than 1 million Americans are living with multiple sclerosis. This chronic disease affects the central nervous system, for which there is currently no cure. Well, joining us with more on an event to help raise awareness, let's welcome Cindy Durham, volunteer for the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. Happy to have you here with us.
Good morning. Thank you.
And your sister was diagnosed with MS.
Correct.
Tell us a bit more about her experience as she found out about her diagnosis and what that progression has been like to this day.
So she was around 28, and she actually went blind in one eye and went to the emergency room, and luckily her mother-in-law was a nurse and knew about MS and made sure that they did an MRI, and they found lesions on her brain at that point. Her sight did come back, which is often the case with it, but
Really?
The MS is actually an autoimmune disease that affects the central nervous system, the brain, the spine, and the optic nerve. And what happens is the myelin sheath that covers the central nervous system, protects it, gets damaged, and it can affect different
Is this hereditary? Is it?
We do have, our great-grandmother had MS. There is some evidence that it possibly can be, but that hasn't been determined.
I see. And her progression, so she was diagnosed at what age?
28.
At 28. And how old is she today?
She's now 58.
58. Yeah. What has life been like for her these last 30 years?
It was pretty slow for a while. She had problems with walking at the beginning. The people didn't necessarily know why. They knew she was walking different. And slowly but surely she did lose the use of her legs. She's now in a scooter, which gets her around, and she has a wonderful attitude about it, and wonderful. Her husband is very, very supportive and involved with the National MS Society also, and they have a wonderful caregiver for her.
And that's really important. And her particular MS sounds like it was quite progressive. Would you say that your sister's progression was fairly rapid or severe compared to other people who have MS?
It probably was more than a lot of other people that I know. About 85% of people have relapsing remitting MS, which they will have an episode and then they can go weeks, months, years without having another episode at all. Oh, wow. And eventually, when there are more and more episodes happening, then it progresses, and they call it secondary progressive.
What are we hearing as far as research goes and treatment? Because, like you say, you know, it can kind of come and go almost in certain patients, but then the treatments themselves, they've been trying to advance them to the point where it can maybe cease any progression whatsoever. So are we seeing more advancements in that?
There has been, very definitely, and the funds that we try to raise are most important to that. The National MS Society is working with doctors all over the world, one, to try to find out why people get MS. They still really don't know the root cause of why it's there, so they're looking to find the absolute cause of what happens, if there are genetic things that are going on, and also ways to prevent MS, and then looking at ways to try to halt the progression, and hopefully with enough funds and enough research they'll be able to reverse some of the effects. Right now the medicines do not reverse the effects. They definitely slow the progression. My sister Sandy has been pretty much on an even keel for the last 4 or 5 years.
Oh, she has.
With the medication that she's on.
Yeah. What do you say to people who, you know, don't quite understand the disease? You get diagnosed as an adult, typically, right?
Yes.
And so, you know, you're just kind of going along with life, and then you get hit with this as an adult. Was it devastating at all for your sister?
It was. I think on everybody's part, there was a lot of denial that was going on, but eventually, you know, we all had to come to accept that was a diagnosis that she had, and something she was going to have to live with.
Sure.
And you know, the National MS Society was very helpful to she and my brother-in-law in learning things, getting involved with them, raising funds for them. The National MS Society has a navigator system that can help people who are first diagnosed or even were diagnosed a while back and just didn't want to get help or didn't think they needed help. There's a huge support system. Here in Charleston, there is the Connection, which is a support group that meets every Monday in West Ashley at 6:30, and it's just people who have MS or family members or caregivers who go, and it's a way to support each other.
That's wonderful.
And become very involved.
That's terrific. Well, Cindy, I appreciate that. And before we let you go, of course, we have to talk about the Charleston Walk MS. So this is happening Saturday, April 11th at 10:30 a.m. This is at the James Island County Park. So make sure you go out there, show your support, and walk for a good cause. Cindy, thank you so much for coming on.
Very definitely.
James.
Thank you very much for
Thank you.
having me.
We'll be back after this.